Support for the Double I Show comes from Manscaped, who is #1 in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped, where it's okay to hit below the belt.
From California.
Checking in from the left coast where we take sound that combines sunshine with rhyme, move 'em around. Take it slow, watch the smoke we blow. Bring California swing and this thing for show. Well, hey there, baby doll, dance the go-go. Off a little mentally, I see it in slow-mo. Hollywood, the east side, Hub City, and Frisco. Calles to the playas, fires up in the disco. Whoa, whoa, oh, now here we go. Mira, delincuentes, bum rush.
Welcome to the Double I Show.
Idiocy.
I'm Sweet Tea, and with me as always,
R.W King.
Hey, what's going on tonight, King?
Hey, same old stuff, T. How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good. We got a special show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you go and talk about it?
So we got our silver shower. You know, we were originally going to call this one the golden shower, but it's the silver because this is our 25th show. This is a very special show for us.
No, congratulations, T. You made it for 25 shows.
Congratulations to you, too. We've actually done this thing together. It's awesome, you know, and this is kind of a small milestone for us. I mean, it's only 25, right? You got all these other podcasts that have been going on forever, but this is kind of a big deal for us. You know, we've been cranking at this thing, grinding. And I want to say thank you to you. And I want to thank you to the listeners that have actually started the journey with us and are still with us and still going strong.
Absolutely. And all the new listeners we get, you know, just jump on this train, guys. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep rolling it out there. And I think the one guy you keep forgetting is a big part of what we do, T, is Dr. X.
Oh, the man behind the scenes.
You know, and Dr. X, a big shout out to your brother. You know what, man? I know you weren't here the last episode, but, you know, glad to have you back. Make sure everything's good with your family. I know there's some things going on. Sometimes we just have to take care of our families, T.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
so he wasn't in our last episode. We wanted to give him a shout out. He asked us not to. So, you know, Dr. X, you're a huge part of what we do, and I want to say thanks to you, brother.
Yeah, big shout out to you. Thank you very much for everything you do, especially behind the scenes, man. You really help keep this thing going.
You know, another thing out there, guys, remember, you know, part of this is we want to get this content good for you. We want to do things for you. We're getting sponsors, and it's not just for us, it's for you. You know, we want to give you guys a little bit of some extra stuff out there, a little bit of some extra, you know, bonus stuff, you know, some discounts, things like that on good products. So, guys, take advantage of the stuff we're pubbing. We get good deals on the stuff for you guys. You know, so take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah. You know, we talked about some of the sponsors out there, and they're hell of a good deal. They really are. And we want to make sure that whatever sponsor we do get is related to what we talk about. It's man-related type stuff.
No, absolutely is, you know. So we also want to say again, you know, thanks to all the ladies out there listening, people repping our gear. We're getting a lot of pub on our Facebook and our Twitter. You're already posting stuff on there, guys. If you haven't posted your picture repping your gear, do it. The best post, I guess, or best pick.
Best unique
pick and best, you know, way to come at us, I guess, or, you know, just whatever it is.
You just got to grab our attention, really, is what it is.
And we're going to shoot you out a hoodie. So
those hoodies look nice, too.
We're going to run that till the end of October. It's a black hoodie. They look pretty nice. You know what I mean? So we already put one out on our social media, I believe, didn't we?
Yeah, it's out on our Facebook page for sure. It's you wearing it, kind of throwing on the gear and kind of repping it.
Oh, then people probably won't be looking at the hoodie tee. They'll be looking at my physique.
It's you from the back, so there's really not much of a physique.
Oh, then they'll be checking out my R's?
No.
Or my lack of R's?
Your lack of R's.
All right.
Your pancake R's.
So what we're going to do in this 25th anniversary show, T, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to recap a lot of the shows that we talked about, things that we've already touched on, big subjects, and update them a little bit. You know, let our listeners know a little bit of updates with them, you know, and things that are going on. And unfortunately, guys, after this show, we're going to be taking a couple weeks off. So we got a break coming up. You know, we wanted to make sure and get to the 25th show. We talked about taking breaks after the 10th show 1 week. We ran this one like time and a half. So we're going to take a couple weeks off after the show, guys.
Well, especially with the fantasy one, that one kind of burned you out. You know, that one was tough on you because you really made all the content for that. That was all you for those 4 shows.
You know, and it's not just that, T, it's that people need to understand we do have other things going on and we're working guys. You know, both of us work 50 to 70 hours a week on top of the stuff we got to do for the show. We have families, we have obligations, and we got to have some balance,
Oh yeah, work-life balance is big, you know.
and we look at this strictly as fun, both of us do, and we want to do it. And this is a passion of both of ours. But at some point we have to give that time to other means in our lives.
And it helps us stay fresh too, I think,
It keeps the balance.
It does.
And we have to keep that balance.
because we always come back feeling a little bit rejuvenated.
No, absolutely. So again, guys, just don't be, too worried. We're not going to stop. We're just taking a couple weeks off and we'll be right back at it, as soon as that thing hits. But
still send the hate mail because we do appreciate it. Remember when we took that week off? It's like, where the fuck did you guys go? What the hell's going on?
No, absolutely. Man.
I like that. I really like that. So keep it coming. I like that.
Absolutely. Anybody, any kind of stuff that people are throwing at us, we just want to make sure you guys just keep it up. Negative, positive, whatever it is, shoot it to us.
And if it's negative, you go to the top of the list.
I think one of the things we want to talk about too, T, is, these guys need to get on our website, man. www.thedevileyeShow.com. Just get at us, man. See what's going on there. We need to start doing some more on the website.
We do.
We're going to do some more stuff for you. But again, it's just, we're trying, guys, and we're really putting our efforts into the show. And it takes a lot more, I think, than we realized. And we want to make a good show for you. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, T.
Well, we're trying, I think. And that's the key. We don't do a bad job, but I think we've gotten better as the shows have gone on, and we've gotten a lot better. And you know what? We've gotten a lot of good feedback, and I appreciate the feedback of everybody saying how much they have been with us from the start and how much they appreciate how the show has evolved and how much better we've gotten. And so it's just kind of a learning experience for us. Cause like you said, this is a hobby for us and this is something that we enjoy doing, but because this is a hobby for us, we're not professionals. We've never done this before professionally in our lives, but it's something that we really enjoy. And we just continue to get better. It's with anything else, the more you do it, the better you get.
And I think touching on what T said, it's, we want to get some good content for you guys and we just want to get better every time we do it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think that's what you and I sometimes even kind of, I wouldn't say get into like a heated argument, but we get into a little bit of it because we want to be able to make sure we're putting out the best that we can.
And I think that's what it is. We have to challenge ourselves and we have to do that. We have to be critical of each other, T. We can't just sit there every day sucking each other's dick. It doesn't work. We won't get better.
Absolutely. You're right.
And we've been doing this our whole lives, T. So, that's how we motivated ourselves through our lives. And I think it is continuing through the show. And it's showing. It
is showing. It is. It is. And you know what? Thank you everybody for the positive feedback too. I can't thank you guys enough, And I want to say this too. Our fans are freaking awesome because they supply us with a lot of information on content.
Well, that's what we talked about. We talked about that a couple shows ago.
They're driving it.
We talked about when the show got innovated, and they're driving what we're doing.
And I love that.
It's the biggest part of us being a family, is us having this movement, is that everybody's moving in that same direction, and they're sort of understanding what we're trying to do here.
Oh, they're fully on board. They kind of get where we're going. To your point, they get with what we want to do. They get with what we are trying to say. And they're out there thinking the same thing. And they're like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And they're feeding us. And it just makes us more kind of pumped and more excited to keep going. And that's what's awesome about this whole thing, King.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And we're going to do what's going to be the Silver Shower Show today, T. So it's basically just to catch up on a lot of these stories that we've already talked about. We're not going to do any sports, entertainment. We're just going to run this thing through, talk about a lot of different topics today, and basically start this thing off with one of our first stories was our Adnan Syed story. So why don't you just go ahead and give us a little bit of an update? I know that they ran another special on HBO, and the last part of that special was he got acquitted.
Correct.
So why don't you take it from there and tell everybody about the new update?
Okay, so the latest update is, yes, you're right. He got acquitted. Now, he was supposed to be released, but then they reversed that reversal. So now he's still in jail. He never did get released. They came back and said, no. And he kind of got screwed on that. And now his lawyers are fighting because he's running out of appeals. He's running out of everything. It's kind of do or die for him right now.
Well, you only get so many, right?
Correct. And he's running out of that. And because it's do or die for him, literally, because this doesn't happen, he's rotting behind bars for the rest of his life. And now his attorneys have announced that they're going to take this to the Supreme Court, and that's his last ditch effort.
Well, it's the only other chance they have, because
That's the
even
Hail
the
Mary.
higher courts and the arbitration courts and the appellate courts and all those have
Right.
already been through all that.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
You know, and again, it's a shame. We talked about Adnan in one of our first shows and how we are on the Adnan for justice. You know, we believe in justice for Adnan, and
Yep.
you know, we're still supporting Adnan and all the things that are out there. And we'll put out every update we can, but keep fighting, Adnan. You know, we're still with you, brother.
Stay strong, man. Stay strong.
You know, another one of the stories we were talking about was your boy Jussie Smollett, man.
I love Jussie Smollett.
This dude just can't stay away from it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this guy, he made a plea deal. Essentially, he got off, right, on this whole thing. Recap for everybody. He faked an attack, and he said that it was Trump supporters, the MAGA, and that it was racially motivated, and it was also sexually motivated because he's gay. And they quickly found out that that wasn't true.
Did they come out? It was all announced before this that he was gay.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of it, that he got like racial, sexual,
Yeah.
like threats or something, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It could be, because he's openly gay. He's been openly gay.
On the show, does he play a gay part?
I never watched the show, so I don't know, to be honest with you.
Just asking. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I don't watch the show, so, but no, that's a good question. But I will say this though. I mean, not only did he fuck up every step of the way, and we covered this when we originally covered it, but now, do you remember he got off? The prosecutors and everybody, the whole DA's office pretty much just washed their hands of it and just closed it and walked away. The FBI and somebody higher up than the DA, I think the state something, they're the ones that actually went in and said, that's BS. It's bullshit what you did for him. And so they reopened it and they went after it. Next thing you know, okay, this is what's so cool, is now he is being part of this. Now he has to come back, and he's getting, I guess, not even retried because he didn't go to a trial, but his attorney, now you're going to love this, King, his attorneys, the argument that they made for, you know, the fact that he did this and why and everything, they're blaming the police. This is great. They're blaming the police because they're saying, well, the police just did a thorough job in doing their job, and that's how they found out that he was the one behind it.
Well, that's what he was saying, that they kept digging because they had something motivated against him until they found it. They did too good of a job in this case.
They actually did their fucking job.
Well, but yeah, but
know
see,
what I mean?
now here's where it's sort of screwy though. But I heard his lawyer talking, and this is where they only take a piece. And what he said was they did their job more for him and tried to find as much as they could dirt on him than they would on someone else.
I disagree with that.
But that's what they're trying to say.
Of course.
I'm not saying
No,
anything
yeah,
else.
I know you are.
That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
So they only take that one piece out, but that's what they're saying. So.
Yeah, but it's so weak. I mean, that is such
Well,
a
from the beginning,
bullshit.
this has been bullshit. This guy's an idiot. You know?
It ended his career.
Yeah. So,
He's done in Hollywood.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, at this point, I still don't understand his thought process or anything he ever did there and why he would want to do something like this. But this guy's just a tool, dude.
He is, and now he's having to face it, and which is good because I don't understand why the hell they wouldn't have followed up with him in the first place. Like why they just all of a sudden decided, oh, no, let's just close the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm glad they reopened it.
I mean, at that point, man, why do you want to keep wasting money?
Well,
I mean, that's what it is, you know. I mean, last episode we talked about serial killers.
yeah.
And a lot of these cases go cold just because they don't want to invest any more money. They're having guys look for clues all day long and can't come up with clues after a couple weeks. That's costing them money.
It is.
They got to get those, and they don't have resources. They got to put them somewhere else. So I think even in this case, these guys are like, fuck, this guy's just an idiot. He did it all himself. Let's just move on. And then you had one boner DA with a boner, like, fuck that. We're gonna.
They gave him a sweetheart deal, though. That was kind of bullshit, too.
Again, I mean, what example are you going to make of him? When this really goes to court, what's going to happen to him? He has no record, nothing else. He's going to get a slap on the wrist for all this shit.
He probably will.
Yeah, and that's my point. And the cops know that. Why go through all this mess?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're probably right. You're probably right about that. What else did we have on there that was a big story that we already covered, though? What else you got, King?
Oh, what about the mass shootings, man? These things never stopped. After we put our story out, there was another couple mass shootings, D. This goes back to the arguments we had and the discussions we had. What is the root cause of this? Is it the availability? Is it society? Is it the ease of being able to do it? Is it the public notoriety? What is it? What's the driver? And it just sucks. A lot of these are racially motivated. We talked about racism. There's a couple of them that already came out, and the guy in Texas basically said he started looking at Mexicans.
Yeah.
That's racially motivated,
Yeah.
So I think that mass shootings thing's still there. I think this thing is getting worse, like we talked about.
I don't think there's going to be anything. We're just going to keep updating this. Seriously, King.
No, we talked about it. It's an epidemic.
It is. It's never going to stop. And until something serious, some serious reform in gun laws, restrictions, and some change in our society, like you said, is it society? I don't think any of that's ever going to change. I think we're going to continue to talk about this, and that's what sucks.
No, you're right.
I get tired of it.
I think one of the other things that's really big right now in our local news is, and we spoke about it a long time ago, and it just seems like all these, I don't know if it's coincidence or they're all listening to the Double I show, all these big news stations, but another big one they're talking about is homelessness. The homelessness here in LA is ridiculous.
It's nuts.
It is everywhere, T. It is fucking insane. There are tent cities everywhere. People can't afford to live out here.
Do you know, I just heard a stat just the other day that said overnight, on any given night, there's roughly around 53,000 homeless people in Southern California alone.
And I believe that number's so low.
Probably.
53,000 people. It looks like there's 53,000 people downtown.
It's a guesstimation, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about those numbers, T. They're just like, they have to say that. They can't say 500,000. They can't say 250,000. Because now it's at a point where now what's going on with the infrastructures here?
Yeah.
What's going on with your government?
The funny thing is, and I think you just kind of touched on it a little bit, was Dr. X pointed this out to us. It was maybe 3 weeks after that episode dropped, all of a sudden every news outlet around here was covering it. I don't know why, but all of a sudden it became the topic to discuss.
Well, it's the same like our opioid addiction.
Right.
As soon as that thing hit, it's everywhere. It's on billboards. It's on commercials now. Susie, have you been to your doctor lately? Oh, I want to tell him, but I'm afraid to tell someone I'm addicted to opioids. And it's a pub commercial for a new drug that can help you wean yourself off of opioids.
Which is probably an addicting drug in its own.
It has non-addictive properties, just like Vicodin and all those.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Like we heard, but time and time again. It's kind of weird. I don't know, King. We talked about this. Obviously, we're not the ones driving all this. We're not the ones. But I think at the same time, we kind of have our finger on the pulse of what's going on. And we just get out in front of it. We're not afraid to tackle it.
And I think that's it. Where we know what's going on out there. We talk about these subjects. It's not like we sit there and we're struggling for topics. See, we got 20 topics lined up. We try to find the one that's pressing.
Yeah.
Something that people will want to listen to. Maybe some different stuff, because we just don't want to get into these news topics all the time. It's like our last one. We had a couple listeners who were talking about, why don't we talk about like all these guys that are serial killers?
Yeah. And so
what's
we said,
their
motivation?
motivation?
Why not?
Yeah, what's their motivation? It wasn't a big topic for us.
No.
We started looking at it. It's pretty interesting. I'll throw it out there. I'll let these people understand how these guys were thinking. And I think that's where we started going with that story. What motivates these guys? What could have stopped them?
Right.
Right. So I think just knowing that and having all this interest in these people out there giving us this information keeps our finger on the pulse.
I think you're absolutely right with that, and kind of to your point, the whole thing is we're trying to do it, and we're not trying to overload everybody. And I think that's exactly what our motivation was going into our last episode, because let's be honest, it really wasn't that pressing of a topic, but we had to mix it up a little bit too. And it was interesting when you started throwing a lot of stuff out at me and you were saying, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? My mind was blown because I never really gave it that much thought. I never really got too deep into it. And that was a really interesting show. But it's kind of weird. I'm really kind of blown away with how sometimes we kind of have to catch ourselves by looking at things we've already discussed and trying not to recap them too soon, because all of a sudden this stuff starts dropping.
No, absolutely. It happens right away.
Right. And we got to stop ourselves. It's like, we'll hold back. So yeah, King, that kind of leads me into the last one that we kind of wanted to talk about was, we talked about racism really kind of early in the show. And I wanted to kind of, get your feedback on, where you think we left off and where it is now. And, what did we miss?
No, we didn't miss anything. I think what's going on is the same thing with these other stories. It's just things are getting hotter. You know what I mean? And things are coming out. And I think it's sort of like piggybacks on the things we talked about. And I think this is a perfect thing to start talking about. Our next subject we wanted to talk about was this podcast that just came out. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. She probably put out, I'd say, probably the best podcast next to Serial that I've heard in a long time. It's called The Sterling Affairs.
It was a 30 for 30.
It's a 30 for 30. It was called The Sterling Affairs. It was a 5-part deal. They were about an hour each one.
Right.
And it had all the background shit of what happened to basically the downfall of Donald Sterling as an owner. First, how he sort of got to be an owner, how that all worked up. She did a great job. She did a really good job, sort of framing this. And we're going to go ahead and get into that now. Were you able to listen to the podcast?
I was. You're the one that told me about it. You called me up and you said, hey, man, you got to listen to this. You're like, look, T, this thing is amazing. Just kind of like what you were saying right now. And you were telling me that. And I was like, okay. Let me listen to it. Let me hear it. I couldn't stop listening to it. I listened to it straight. I binged it. This shit was amazing. And kind of like what you were saying is it kind of the way she framed it and the history behind it, it really has a lot to do with not just racism like we were talking about, but also it has a lot to do with LA history too.
No, absolutely. So go ahead and frame it, because I'm sure there's people out there not familiar with the story. There's a lot of listeners to you that aren't into sports.
Oh, that's true. So Donald Sterling, right?
Yeah, they don't even know who the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically what this is, guys, is Donald Sterling was the owner of the Clippers, and he had bought the Clippers when they were back in San Diego.
$30 million.
He bought them back when they weren't really relevant. The NBA was struggling. It wasn't what it is now. He's the guy who sort of got kicked out of the league by the other owners and the commissioner for being racist and having racist statements that were recorded by his mistress. Everybody knew that went down. Everybody knew he had to sell the team. Ballmer bought the team, and everybody knew that, but really nobody knew all the details. And this thing sort of shook out the details. So I'm going to frame it for you guys. And basically what it was is Donald Sterling was named Donnie Takowicz. He is of Jewish descent. He grew up in Boyle Heights. His father was a produce merchant, so he worked with his father. He ended up going to law school and ended up becoming a lawyer. He ended up investing a lot of his money into real estate in the Southern California area, specifically greater Los Angeles area, and buying up a lot of apartments. He was specifically the reason for rent control in Southern California.
Yeah.
He was. And he was another person who coined certain phrases. One of them was ultra luxurious, and I forget the other one, T, but all he tried to do was make the buildings he bought seem better than they were. He kicked people out of those buildings who had been there for years and years, raised their families, put a slap to coat of new paint on it, and doubled the rent.
Yeah.
He bought up a lot of an area called Koreatown, down on the outskirts of LA.
Prime real estate area.
Yeah, right into that LA corridor. If you're working downtown, it's right in that Wilshire corridor. Mm-hmm. And after the R.W King riots, everything was destroyed down there. So he bought it all up cheap. He dictated what stayed in that neighborhood. He made sure that it was Koreatown, because Koreans aren't going to complain.
Right.
They're going to pay the rent. He doesn't know how they get it, but they're going to pay the rent,
He doesn't care.
Exactly. So they kicked tenants out for no reason. Him and his wife faked being health department officials
Yeah.
to go in and write up reports on people and get them evicted. They did a lot of things that were a little shady, and they were ruthless, and that's how they ran their business, and they didn't care. And they did this for their basically status and who they were and what they were. Donald Sterling bought the Clippers because he was jealous of Jerry Buss. Jerry Buss bought the Lakers 4 or 5 years before he bought the Clippers, and he saw the success and fun that Dr. Buss was having
And all the accolades.
and wanted to do that too.
Right.
But he didn't realize the hard work it was. The funniest thing and the weirdest thing in this whole podcast, and I didn't realize this, was he was the guy who allowed Jerry Buss to buy the Lakers. Jerry Buss had a deal worked out with then Jack Kent Cooke to buy the Lakers, the Kings, and the Forum for a certain amount of money, but he had a deadline. The last hour, the 11th hour, one of his investors backed out. And basically he called Jack Kent Cooke and said, look, no problem. I'm going to get the money. I just need an extension. And Cooke told him to go fuck himself. If you don't have the money by that day, offers off the table. So in the middle of the night at 3 a.m, he called Donald Sterling. He was at Donald Sterling's house at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning to go to the bank at 9 o'clock. Donald Sterling was the man who basically he bought some of Buss's properties
To
gave him
bankroll
the
it.
cash so that he could buy the Lakers.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of Dr. Buss, and he was included in a lot of the stuff back in the early days with the Lakers, all the, the big stuff at the Forum clubs, all the parties, things like that. So he saw all the things, and he got very envious and decided, you know what, I want to do this too.
Well, like I said, I mean, Dr. Buss was beloved. I mean, you can't live in LA and not love the man.
It wasn't so much that at that time. He wasn't loved like that at that time. But what he was is he was going out and he was breaking new barriers and doing things differently. He made this entertainment. He did certain things. But Donald Sterling didn't want to work like Jerry Buss.
Right.
He thought that all he had to do was buy it and it would come to him. He got in trouble early in his career for having made racial statements and things like that out in public as an owner. And it sort of was a telltale sign. The league really couldn't do anything about it. But I think at some point they knew he had what they call a plantation mentality.
Correct.
Started coming out to you in this podcast that he would bring his friends and stuff into the locker rooms and, tell them, hey, take a look at this guy. Look at the muscles he's got. Look at that buck. Look at that buck right there.
Yeah, he would parade him like a thoroughbred.
Yeah, and he would even have these parties where everybody wore white except him. He wore black. And he'd have these whiteout parties or something before the season, and he'd have all his new guys there parading them around.
Yeah. It's just kind of sick. I mean, I want you to keep going into it. It's sick to know the things that he talked about and the things that he said during that time.
No, absolutely. And it was, it's just shocking, and then the fact that, this guy was, I guess billionaire problems, right? He has his mistress sitting at courtside with him, with his wife sitting right next to him. And I just never understood that dynamic or what was going on there. But it was just like, this guy was just doomed from the beginning. And he just didn't care. He had an opportunity to move his team to the Honda Center. And basically Orange County knew that they wanted a team. They wanted a full-time sports team other than the Angels and the Ducks. They wanted a basketball team. And they went to him and gave him the best deal possible. He would have had free rent for 3 years. They were going to rent or supply a helicopter to fly his friends in because that was his stickler. It's too far for my friends from Beverly Hills to go. Okay, we'll go pick him up at, Burbank Airport, and we'll helicopter him in for every game you want and limo him to the game. On us. Okay, I'll do it. He went to the Pond, or back in the day, the Pond, which is now the Honda Center,
Right.
to sign the paperwork with, I forget the name of the GM was with him for a long time. I forget that guy, but they went there together They went in this room. They said they went in this room, and on the table, all the contracts are laid out. All the pens are there. They have champagne on ice, everything else. Sterling goes in there. They're talking for a couple minutes. Says, hey, I got to use the restroom. Where's the restroom? And they said, it's down the hall, just right. Okay. So he takes off. About 3 or 4 minutes go by. The general manager's like, starting, where the fuck is this dude? 10 minutes go by. Fuck, I'm going to go check on him. Make sure he's okay. Yeah, so he just, they went downstairs and this guy just took off. And that's sort of how he was. He was just a little bit different guy and he just wasn't running this thing right. And I think, he just felt like it was almost like a toy to him. He didn't care about it. He made comments when he was younger, when he was in San Diego as the owner. And he came out and to some news station down there that he felt like, I thought this was different. I could just go in and pay for whoever I want to buy.
No, I think he said I can
that.
buy any player I wanted, any free agent. I could just buy anybody.
Yeah, no, I felt like I could just buy anybody.
Yeah.
And that was something that didn't stick right with the league. But that was sort of their preface and sort of showed them, hey, this guy's got some issues. He's got some problems. We got to get this stuff taken care of. And they really didn't do anything about it. And this thing just grew. And it grew to a point where finally his mistress, who was 50 years younger than him, just there on the money train, he started having dementia. And she told him, a lot of times, we already talked about that. No, we didn't. And they get into arguments. So she told him, I'm going to start recording what you say so I could play it back for you. And he was okay with it. He knew it. And she said that on a tape in front of even other witnesses. So he acknowledged it many times. He knew she recorded their conversations. And this guy was just putting it out there, racial things and just things that weren't good. Things that basically were making him look like he was a racist. And he got kicked out of the league. And this girl tried to come up. And I think one of the most interesting parts of this podcast, too, was how Sterling's wife, because they never got a divorce, every time he would give these mistresses these $1 million homes, things like that, she'd go back and get them back.
Yeah.
She was entitled to half the property. It was still half of hers.
Right. She would go after the mistresses instead of him.
So even after the last one with the mistress, she went after that one too. And that one brought the whole, I guess, what do you want to call it? The whole regime down, right?
Yeah.
And she still went after that bitch. And even knowing at it now, her and Donald got back together. I mean, at this point, they're 80 years old.
But they don't even live together.
No, but they've been doing this song and dance since they were 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Because that's what they said, too. Back in the day when he was a young lawyer, he was already out fucking girls all night long. And basically told her this is the way it's going to be if you don't want to go. There were her friends that came out and said certain things like that. So she's been dealing with this her whole life.
She knew.
Yeah, it's part of it.
She
You
allowed
stick
it.
around, you want the money?
Yeah.
Or you just want to leave? You leave now.
I think the only thing kind of to piggyback on that, because this is a good point for me to say this, is the only thing that left me a little bit disappointed in this, because I think this was a great podcast. I think this was a well-researched, referenced, everything, is the point that they let her off the hook. They let Donald Sterling's wife off the hook. She's just as bad and horrible of a person as he is. She may not have been caught on tape saying racist type of things, but she believed in a lot of that too.
Well, I think if you really listen to the podcast, I think Ramona Shelburne mentioned that 3 or 4 times during the thing, that even though it comes out like this little old lady with a Gucci bag was just nothing, she was as evil as anybody in this thing.
She did. She said that, but then as the podcast went on, especially towards the end.
That was at the end. That part was at the end because it was talking about the court.
True. Okay,
So,
you're right. You're right. You're
so
right.
she sort of
But
summed
it just
it up.
kind of seemed like they kind of let her off easy on that whole thing, because she was definitely trying to play the old lady. I was innocent on this. I had nothing to do with that. This isn't who I am type of thing. But it's exactly who she is too.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that. T. I sort of felt like that's, and I think they even mentioned that she tried to play off like she was a sweet innocent victim of a womanizing husband, but she's just as guilty and she's a manipulative type of thing. There was a lot of those mentioned. So I don't think they framed her as this innocent little old lady. They framed her as a wicked bitch who was ruthless. And she even had a friend make a comment that this bitch is going to go get every nickel in the cement or something like that.
Something weird like that.
She's just ruthless.
She is.
She's a lot of the comment too was discussed with her. She would be the motivator to kick all these people out of these apartments.
Yeah.
She was the motivating factor. He just bought it. She went and did it.
She went and did it.
Yeah, she didn't care.
Yeah, no, she's just as awful.
No, and they made mention of that too. And the reality is she pulled off one of the biggest deals in sports history. Her team was sold for the biggest amount ever in sports history at $1 billion or 1.2.
$2 billion.
Oh yeah,
it was $2 billion. Yeah.
She gets one, Donald gets one.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it is what it is. She made out like a bandit.
And I think everybody who is listening to this, if you haven't listened to that podcast already, you got to go out, you got to listen to it, because there's a lot of tapes. You hear Donald talking himself. And here's a couple interesting tidbits is he was referred to as the Donald Trump of the West. And he loved that reference. He loved it when people called him that. You know, obviously this is way before Trump now, but I mean, back then in the 80s, he loved being known as Donald Trump of the West. The other tidbit is, you know, he was not a good guy, but I think if it wasn't for him, the Lakers wouldn't be the Lakers that we know today. So it's just kind of, I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but you know what? In a weird, twisted way, you got to thank him for being able to allow Bus to be able to buy that and turn the Lakers into the dynasty that we all knew and loved.
You know, the weirdest thing out of that whole 30 for 30 for me was how they kept touching on and how he is so wrapped up, and his arch enemy is Magic Johnson.
Yeah, that was weird.
I never understand that. I don't understand what's getting him that motivated.
And I don't know if it's they didn't have the context behind it either themselves to know why.
To me, T, I'm thinking he fucked one of his girls.
Maybe.
Absolutely. There's no other reason to do it.
But
he fucked one of his mistresses, or there was a girl who he felt he could, you know, get, and Magic Johnson boned her when he was younger.
Okay, but he was telling his mistress straight out.
It's like the Tiger Woods thing, dude. For every hot chick you meet at some kind of big sporting event or something, you know, some kind of sports groupie, she's already boned Tiger. So you just got to know it. Tiger boned them all, dog.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one before.
Yeah, well, fuck, dude, it's everywhere. Like all these chicks and all these things, like these guys meet up these new chicks. Oh, yeah, well, I just got to let you know I boned Tiger. They all boned Tiger, dog.
Yeah, well, that dude was a different story for another day. Well, that guy was freaky.
Why do you... he couldn't be freakier than Magic. Magic got the HIV, dude, because he was boning everybody.
Well, yeah, okay, but what I was saying is, I mean, but Sterling straight out told his mistress, fuck him, I don't care.
That's when he's 70. The shit started with Magic when he was 40 or 50. Right. That's what I'm saying, because that's when Magic was in his heyday.
Yeah.
All this built up, T. So it was something when Magic was in his heyday. Remember, Magic hit the ground running. He won the MVP his rookie year, won the championship his rookie year. So the first year he was in the league, he was a god. It started there. Something happened. Through the annals of time, dude, in every kind of sports. Look at the Raiders, Marcus Allen. You know all that. Marcus Allen didn't play for 2 years, sat on the sideline till he got traded. Al Davis wanted to kill his career.
Yeah.
Why? Because he fucked Al Davis's daughter. I mean, what the fuck else?
Wait a minute. I'm sorry I didn't jump in on that, but you know what? I got to say, I didn't know that.
Of course not, D. I mean, it's a long time ago, and you're not into sports like I am, so you don't know these things like that. But these guys do this shit all the time. I was trying to process that right now in my head. That's the whole reason. Marcus Allen didn't play for the last 2 fucking years he was on the Raiders. These owners hold grudges. They own these players' careers.
Okay.
Especially back in the day. That's why free agency is so much a big part of what's going on now.
So let me ask you this. And it's a little off topic, but it's not. We know that came from Donald Sterling. And
what came from Donald Sterling?
Like all this stuff. We you know, if you listen to the show, if you listen to the 30 for 30, you know all that. He was racist. Yes. Yeah. And all this stuff came, and his whole mentality and everything like that came out of him. Now, I don't believe that that's rampant in the NBA anymore, especially with the new ownership and the culture and everything, how it's changed. I do believe it's still part of it a little bit, but how much of that do you think is part of maybe like the NFL with that whole plantation mentality?
Well, I think it's just with almost I can't say any sport because the significance of the sport is sort of dictating what they can do.
Right.
I think the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB are all like that. Look at Marge Schott. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember her. Yeah.
Cincinnati Reds owner.
Cincinnati Reds
Same
owner.
thing, dude.
Ohio.
This has been the same. It hasn't changed. It's just that media is putting it out there now.
It's more accessible now.
It's not accessible. It's being exposed. You're going to tell me, okay, so there's 32 NFL owners. We'll say, 20 are white, old white, and just putting it out there? How many of those guys haven't said this shit in their fucking home?
Oh, yeah. And that was my point. That was exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah, of course. This money hasn't changed. These owners don't change. The only thing that's influxing now is foreign owners. And I think that's a little bit different. That's what's changing it.
Right.
These foreign owners are the only ones with the money that can buy these sports teams.
But how many foreign owners are there in the NFL?
3? 4?
Right.
Yeah.
But you have more foreign owners in the NBA.
I think it's about the same.
Is it about the same?
Yeah.
I thought there was a couple more.
No, but then you look at a guy, it's just a different mentality. You look at these two guys who are white, predominantly white billionaires, Mark Cuban, Steve Ballmer. Do you think they're racist? We won't know.
We don't
if something
know.
comes out,
Yeah.
fuck it, and something like this gets exposed, then everything just gets opened up. Hey, you're going to tell me you don't think Mark Cuban has ever made a racial comment in the privacy of his own home?
No, I'm sure he has.
We all have.
Yeah.
But because this idiot was stupid enough to allow a fucking 50-year younger mistress
Record
to record him, it brought him down.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
these guys aren't stupid enough to allow that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You're going to tell me Robert Kraft isn't making these kind of comments? I mean,
I don't know.
dog.
Yeah, no. You bring up a good point.
I'm just saying.
But that's why I posed that question.
No, I think it's still there. I don't think it's going to change when you're the guy who's writing the check.
Yeah.
Then yeah, you feel like, you know what,
I own these fuckers.
pretty much.
They're mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of bullshit. And I think that's why there was it the NFL or was it the NBA that was going away from the term owner? Like a lot of the players don't even want to say that term anymore. Was it NBA?
I've never heard that in either one.
Yeah, it was recently. It just within the last.
To me, it has
6,
to be
7
NBA
months.
just because they're more boisterous.
I think it might have been
You know
the
what I
NBA.
mean? It's just a stronger voice for the African American, for the black people.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
so-
right.
Yeah.
They actually, and they're more socially conscious out there.
Correct.
Yeah, they're
correct. So I think that's probably what it is. I don't think the NFL's going there. I mean, the NFL kicked a player out just a couple years ago because he stood up for what he believed, and the owners didn't like it.
more right.
We were talking about him not so long ago. Let's call him Kaepernick.
Yeah,
So
he took a knee.
you know, and a lot of other guys, Eric Reed, who sat there and took a knee with him.
Right,
Right? He was out for a year. This guy was a Pro Bowler. This guy was a stud.
and he couldn't find a job.
You know, it's like I told you the story. Joey Browner and Doug Williams the same year. Both guys came out and said this in the 80s about racism and things like that with the owners. Joey Browner was a Pro Bowler, All-American out of USC, playing for Minnesota at the highest point of his career, couldn't get a job the next year.
Yeah,
After that came out, that big Sports Illustrated thing. Doug Williams, Super Bowl MVP. All of a sudden, he can't make a team? He can't make a team. 6 months before, he was playing the biggest game in the world and was the MVP.
right.
Now he can't make a team.
Yeah,
Okay, man.
yeah,
There's collusion there. There's certain things you don't do, certain trends you don't buck, and you just deal with it.
yeah.
I mean,
it's sad.
Yeah, it's one of those things still where if you don't want to deal with it, don't get on the ride. Right? I mean, it's how it is. I mean, these guys can say what they want, and at the end of the day, they still have their rights and things like that. But they can't come out and say, you know what? I'm not going to go to this guy because I think there's racial stuff there. It's everywhere. If you're going there and saying, I'm not going to play for someone who's racially motivated the wrong way, you're not going to play in the NFL. I
Right.
just don't think so.
Yeah, you're not going to have a job, period.
Right. And let's talk about our team, Chicago Bears. They just had the opening night last night. We lost the fucking Packers. I hate the Packers.
Fuck
I was
Packers.
fucking Aaron Rodgers retires. But Virginia McCaskey came out in pregame and was talking about she's the oldest, or she's seen more games than any other human being.
Right,
Since she was a little girl, she's been to one game a week
right.
her whole life. No one can say that. She's 90-some years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no one can say that.
Did you see the at the end of that whole little segment, they showed the entire family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the little baby was crying right there.
Yeah.
But my point was, you don't think she's ever made a racial statement?
Oh, I know she has.
She's been around since the 40s and 50s when it was accepted.
And that's the only reason why I say I know she has.
So that's my whole point. At some point, it's still there. And these old money and this old blood is still there. And some of those teachings are still there, even in their younger people. You don't think Jerry Jones's kids think like him? They look just like him.
Right.
You know, they're thinking just like Paul.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The Chargers ownership, same thing.
They're Greek.
Yeah.
It's just about money with them. There's really no racial stuff with those guys. There really hasn't been historically. It's about money with those guys, the Spanos.
Well, but my point was like, they're like their dad. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the racism thing, it's prevalent. And I don't think it was going to stop soon. I just don't.
Well, see, that's why I was asking you if you saw the end of that video clip of her when she was talking and it showed her family. Did you see any other color in that family?
Well, no. Yeah, and it's not gonna.
Right, exactly. That's my point. You know what I mean? That was a huge group of people, and not even a little bit tanned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None. No color in there.
No, I agree, man. And I think that's, one of the big problems in our society now is still just the thought and look at people. And we talked about prejudice. And I still believe that, T, that everyone in this world is prejudiced at some point. Oh. No one can claim they're not.
No, you're right.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, T, did you hear about new Hopsy beer? It's a Keurig for beers.
I did, King. Hopsy partners with a long list of breweries, and they ship mini kegs to your home or your office, and they bring fresh beer to the comfort of your own home.
Go to hopsy.beer/II for great deals. This package includes a sub-home draft machine, 2 Hopsy glasses, 2 mini kegs, and a free membership in their monthly beer club. For a great low price, you got to check out that price, T.
HOPSY.
Hopsy. What else are we going to talk about today, T?
I wanted to kind of rant a little bit. I know this is nothing like our last topic, but a little bit about some tech stuff going out there. We talked about this the last time we did kind of a free form type show. And I went off a lot about Apple. I went off on, kind of cell phones and the different technologies and everything. And you had a lot of good questions in there. But there's something that came up with Apple, a couple things that came up with Apple recently. And I just kind of wanted to educate you because I know, King, you're really not that big of a tech guy or you don't follow it that much. And I kind of wanted to throw it out there, especially for all of our listeners that aren't, that into tech. But just recently, and by recent, I mean within the last...
First of all, I just want to say I resemble that remark.
Yes, you do resemble that remark. Within the last week, and we already knew this, but it just came out, that Apple's actually listening to your conversations. So they're recording everything that you say.
Even if I have a Samsung phone?
No.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
If you have an Apple phone, okay, everything you say to Siri, you don't even have to say directly to Siri. It's recording every conversation you're having. And it's recorded people having sex. It's recorded people having arguments. It's recorded all kinds of crazy shit. And the reason why we know is because they hired an outside firm to go through this, and there's real human people that are going through this and evaluating what is being said and what's going on to try to better their AI. Now, the issue is privacy. Why is somebody going through my private conversations, even though I'm not having a conversation with the AI? Why are they recording everything that is non-essential to the AI part?
Can I ask a question about?
Yeah.
When you go to buy your phone and you go to sign up for your contract at your carrier and you accept the terms.
Right.
Who reads it?
Nobody.
What are the terms?
Nobody knows.
So probably your privacy is something that's probably in that term somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
And no, that's a good point because, Google and Amazon do that too. And I say Amazon because everybody has the Alexa. Everybody says, hey, Alexa, or whatever the hell, the trigger is. I don't have an Alexa, but my son does. But what I'm saying is Apple just got busted for doing something really shady. And it came out. And Apple's trying to kind of, we really weren't doing. this is what pisses me off about Apple to no end. They don't ever own anything. They don't own just saying, come, you know what? I did it. Okay, we did it. We fucked up. We were doing it. We had good intentions, but yeah, we didn't think it through. And that's what pisses me off about Apple. The other thing that pisses me off, and this is just a personal little, sidebar, but, my son has an Apple. He has an iPhone. I am not an Apple fan, but just recently we tried to cash in on his insurance that I pay for it every month because he cracked his screen. And he cracked it to the point, the screen finally went to the point where you could not use the phone anymore. And it is the worst damn experience I have ever had with trying to get your phone with insurance. I've done it to my phone where I've cracked the screen and I've had to do the insurance. Man, that thing was easy. That thing was quick. This was horrible what I was dealing with Apple. They're like, oh, well, you got to do this. You got to do. I had to jump through 10 hoops. And then they said, well, this wasn't actually Apple. This was the insurance company. And then they said, oh, well, you know what? We're going to have to call Apple directly. Okay, let's do a little 3-way conference call. Call Apple. Apple says, you know what they say? Yeah, we can't help you with that. You're screwed. And what this was Apple has a feature on there called Find My Phone. And unless you turn off that feature on your phone, on the Find My Phone feature, you can't really cash in on your insurance. But I couldn't do it because I couldn't get into the screen. I couldn't get into the phone. So they said, okay, well, if you got a computer, you could do it. Log into your iTunes account. So my son did. It wasn't connected to the phone. It says that there's no device connected to the Find My Phone. Apple kept saying that it was. And so Apple wouldn't honor the whole, insurance, or at least from their point of view, they didn't want to do it. I had to escalate it with the insurance company and saying, listen, if Apple's not going to help us and anything, I've been paying for this insurance. You have to honor this. And so they were like, okay, fine. Let me see what I can do. They went higher up. And then they said, okay, we're going to make an exception. I'm like, what exception? I'm paying for insurance. You guys got to have to honor it.
They had to make you feel good.
Exactly. You know what I mean? They had to honor it. But it's just bullshit, man. I never had to deal with that with any other phone other than an Apple. So it's just kind of, I don't know. It just kind of bothers me about that whole thing. But, kind of moving on. But the last thing I wanted to talk about with the tech stuff right now is, King, you and I talk about this all the time. We talk about privacy, maybe not on the show, but we talk about it to each other, right? Off the show. We talk about privacy. We talk about how things are developing in the world nowadays and the type of thing that we live in. And one of the things that kind of I don't like, and I think Amazon is to blame for this, is I think Amazon's a little bit of the devil. We talked about how Apple is listening to everybody. Amazon is now allowing police departments all over the United States to spy on people. And they're going to be using the whole Ring doorbells now. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't. But I mean, it's the same as all the. Okay, the only. I don't know if the term would be carrier or cell phone carrier or cell phone provider that doesn't share their information with law enforcement is Apple. Everyone else can look at it because something with the privacy or with what's going on. No, but I mean, I think it's okay. It's like we talked about. I had a friend whose company helped develop a software that basically he can just type into this software any cell number and it's going to bring up everything on his software that's been active on that phone for a year.
Yeah.
Every picture, every text message, every screenshot, anything you did, any type of access on the internet, the only thing it can't show you is the phone calls. It doesn't have that capability.
Right.
But anything else in the year, even if you erase it, they still have it.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Anytime you charge your phone on a laptop, everything downloads into that laptop.
Yeah.
This is what I mean.
They're called kernels. They leave little kernels.
Correct. And people don't realize all these things where they're leaving these things. And people, they jump onto people's chargers. They do other things, and they're not realizing where this information is going.
Well, that's why they always warn about using public chargers. Like, you ever go to LAX and they have those charging stations? Mm-hmm. Well, they say don't use those charging stations. Don't ever use the cables or anything in those charging stations because for that very reason, because they're stealing people's information.
Yeah, no, you can steal. But I don't think Would LAX allow that? I mean,
No. What's happening is people are going in there. It's kind of like when you go to the ATM. You know how they have those little scanners. I forget what they call them, but they steal the credit card information when you swipe.
no. They were doing it at the gas stations.
Right. They do them at the gas stations.
And now they put that piece of tape there because they were putting that little reader or whatever.
Right. A skimmer.
So, yeah.
It's a skimmer.
Yeah.
So they're doing a similar thing to all these places that are inside of different airports. These guys are doing like a skimming type thing. But kind of back to this, Amazon, they're allowing these to access your Ring doorbell into a live video camera, and they can see your video camera feed automatically. I think that's bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
This is Big Brother going crazy, and they're doing it at a profit.
I don't think it's Big Brother going crazy yet. I think there's stuff out there we still don't know that Big Brother's doing to us. But
Absolutely.
I think maybe that's a good topic we talk about at some time too. Is Big Brother out there?
We'll get our tinfoil hats on too.
Well, not just that, but people don't even really talk about it too much anymore. It was big 10 years ago, 12 years ago. The term.
It is. Yeah, you're
even
right.
Right now, people are probably thinking, "What the fuck are these guys talking about?" It's the government's eye.
Yeah.
Right? It's the big, it's the man's eye.
It's like Judas Priest, electric eye.
Right. It's the electric eye watching you. You know what I mean? From every spot, wherever, or satellite, wherever.
Well, if you grew up in the UK and you're kind of younger, or if you have lived in the UK for any period of time, you're kind of used to it, because the UK, everywhere you go, there's cameras everywhere. You're being watched constantly and monitored. So that's kind of a way of life over there.
Yeah, probably more than here, but I mean, that's anywhere now in the world just because of the way there's fucking cameras everywhere, social media, people's phones. There's a camera every 5 feet.
No, there is, but it's not being monitored the way that the UK monitors it. You know, that's my point. And so you got that. And some people on the other side of the pond are more used to it. Here in the United States, it's not part of our society yet. It's not an everyday way of life as far as the government looking at us. And that's a little bit different. But I know, kind of to your point, shit, they got people watching us left and right through our own equipment.
No, absolutely.
They're probably doing it through our laptops now on our camera.
Yeah, they're taking stuff out of there as soon as we log into certain search engines and things like that. I agree, man.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon, Google, they're all tied into the government just because of how many people access them.
Now, just think about this, King. How many people have those Ring doorbells across the United
Everyone's
States?
starting to get them.
Right. I almost got one.
Yeah.
You know, I bought it and then I returned it. And I returned it before I found this out. Imagine, I mean, I'd be going crazy if I would have kept it.
But that's just one brand. So, the other brands, the technology is about the same.
Right.
So, they have the ability to do the same thing. And are they doing it without letting you know?
That's exactly what's going on.
That's the weirdest thing. And that's the most fucked up thing. They should at least let us know what the fuck is going on.
That shit's scary, man.
Yeah.
It makes me nervous.
No, I'm with you, man.
Not that I'm doing anything wrong, but it's just a fact. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. Yeah, we just don't know. We don't know what the fuck's going on. But hey, let's go ahead and move on to, I think one of the last things we're going to talk about today is we're going to start fucking finally watching a show. We talked about that in the beginning of our of the deal of this 25 episodes ago, how we were going to start watching a show, and we're going to start watching a show, and we're going to go ahead and give it a review until, through the whole season. And we're going to talk about it and talk about the episodes when they come out, relevant to our tapings, right?
Now, is this going to be a high quality show that we're going to be watching?
Dancing with the Stars, bro.
Oh, so we're watching a train wreck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people. They put the list out and you threw it at me and I was like, fuck no, dude. But then we started looking at the list and Ray Lewis is on there. Guy who got away with murder. Yeah, I love Ray.
Lamar Odom, dude.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to be smoking some crack up there. But it's a little intriguing, dude. We got some people we want to get up there, and we want to see what's going on to make fun of them a little bit.
And that's the whole point, I think.
So we're going to be following this, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, look at that picture Dr. X put on there.
I think that's perfect, right?
This dude was trying to pick up this lady and she just did a nosedive or something, right?
That's a dance floor gone incredibly wrong.
Yeah, she took a beat dive right there, dog. But
dude.
yeah. So we're going to go ahead and put this out there and we're going to, throw it out, a review every show. And what do you think about Dancing with the Stars? I wanted to do The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, but we got in the middle of that thing and a new one hasn't come out.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't do that, and I think the Dancing with the Stars.
Plus,
actually
one
not
of
a
those
bad
radio
idea.
shows locally that we like does that, and I didn't want to copy them. But fuck, there's such good content on that shit, dog.
There really is, but I think this is kind of a train wreck in itself, and this is going to be funny to watch and
Well,
mock.
we're going to make it a train wreck, dude. And I'm going to be honest, this is going to mark probably the first network show that I've watched in over 10 years.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I can't remember a network show.
Because every time I mention a show, you're like, I don't watch it.
I watch Big Bang Theory on the rerun.
Yeah,
I don't watch it Channel 2
as most you
or
do.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is, but hey, I'm all for it.
Now, here's the thing, King. When this episode drops, the very first episode of Dancing with the Stars will already aired. So what we're going to do is on the following episode, we're going to have to recap a couple shows because we're taking a couple weeks off. So we're going to have to recap and kind of catch up and kind of lump it all in.
That's okay, because I've never watched this show, but I was like reading on it, and don't they go through like stages?
They do.
Like, so some people get eliminated in the first one, and
Right.
the second one, until it gets down to the finalists.
That's what I'm saying.
and they
So we'll
make a
just
big
do like
deal.
a quick recap of all those meshed into it.
Perfect. Yeah, man. No, I'm all for it, dude. I just want to see somebody fall down, dude. But there's some old people on here, dude. If they fall down, they're going to break their hip or something.
I'm kind of looking forward to that, to be honest
Mary
with you.
Wilson, founding member of the Supremes. I saw her pubbing her shit on the news this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, she looks like she's 500. Fuck, how are they going to... Fuck, dude.
Well, okay. You wanted to watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
They got a member of The Bachelorette. They got a Hannah Brown. She was a Bachelorette.
Yeah, I remember my guys on the radio show talking about Hannah.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
she's on there. So at least we got something, right?
Yeah, and then we got NFL in there. We got
Right.
your boy Dawson's Creek in there, James Vanderbeek.
Oh, man, that guy's got a big ass head. Every time I see him,
Look
I
at the
just can't.
size of that melon.
Right, exactly. It looked like
It's a
Sputnik.
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
I just can't get over it. Every single time I look at his head, I just focus.
Have you got HBO, right, T?
I did. I don't anymore.
Did you ever see a show and they did it for a season? It was the first season, but maybe it was called like Room 142 or something like that. Does that ring a bell?
I think that sounds
And
familiar.
it's
to
about
me.
a room in a motel that has all these fucking stories.
Huh?
And he was in this fucking awesome story, dude,
Really?
about his wife and him. And dang, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was in like one of these kids' movies.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good, man. They were like, didn't know to the end, but they were putting on a show. And you thought like she got in trouble cheating.
Yeah.
Like he caught her. He was the husband. It was good. It was pretty good. But they were role playing like
Oh, okay, okay.
you know what I mean? They were paid to role play. They were a couple.
Right.
So it was good. And he was in that. I remember that. But I mean, there's some people on there that are pretty significant. So I think
Yeah, somebody from The Office, Kate Flannery, I mean, yeah.
Sean Spicer.
The
from
one that
Trump.
I'm actually kind of interested to see is Cal Mitchell. I don't know if you remember him, but he was on Nickelodeon. Remember that Good Burger? Okay.
Yeah, I remember Good Burger.
Right. He was the skinny one because the overweight guy, he's now on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, fuck, Saturday Night Live sucks balls now. I'm looking for Christy Brinkley. She still looks hot.
What's she, like 100?
I don't care. I'd probably still bang it.
No, but I mean, seriously, I mean, how old is she?
Well, she can't be, dude, because, okay.
60
I'm-
something?
No, I got to say maybe she's 60 because I'm not going to throw my age out, but I'm trying to figure out like when she was hot and I was in high school. So, yeah, she's got to be close to 60. But, man, she looks good still.
I got to think she's over 60.
Speaking of hot, fucker, I'm going to say something, dude.
Thank you. I do look hot today.
No, you don't. But,
I got my double light gear on. What are you talking about? Of course.
man,
I
let
look
me
hot.
ask you a question, T.
Question me.
Because I get in an argument with a good friend of mine at work all the time. And she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
We have lunch a lot of times. We talk. And we get in this argument at least 2 or 3 times a week. What do you think about J-Lo?
I think she's got a great body, especially for her age. She's smoking.
All right.
Why?
I think she looks like Rocky. She got punched in the nose. Her nose is smashed. I don't think she's all that. And I think she's a pig. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree.
A lot of people do.
Now I'm guessing that your coworker, your friend over there, is saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with her then.
For me, it's all about Salma Hayek just posted this picture on her 53rd birthday.
Oh no, Selma by far,
Right?
hands down, fucking
Right?
Selma. I don't even have to see that picture. I already
I'm
know.
showing him a picture that she posted on her fucking Instagram or something.
Right.
Oh my God.
No. Selma Hayek, hands down, without, if you were to just even pose the question, J-Lo or Selma, it wouldn't even, fuck no. J-Lo wouldn't even be in the conversation.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Now I
Selma
can't
is a
focus,
different
dude.
level, though. That's different.
Yeah, I can't focus right now, dude. I'm
Yeah,
looking
you're
at all
losing
these
focus
pictures,
there,
dude.
buddy.
Look at this picture. She's 53.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
No. Selma's always been amazing.
No, she's amazing. You see her old man?
Yeah.
Fuck, he's like
He's a fucking
150.
train wreck.
He's like 150.
He's going to
French
croak soon
billionaire.
and she's going to be a billionaire.
Fuck yeah, and I'll be that guy fucking sucking it up right there. But
You're going to go and console her?
of course,
She's not even going to be torn up, I bet.
Fuck no, she's gonna be flying all over the world, dude.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. She's gonna
How
go,
much did I get?
oh, how much money do I got? Let me go buy Bally.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? I like it. I'm gonna go buy it.
Yeah. She's going to be broken up. She's heartbroken.
Well, T, I think that's gonna wrap up our golden anniversary show.
No,
man.
this is our silver.
Why? Oh, you know why I want to call it golden anniversary? Because I wanted to call it the golden shower show.
Right.
That's what messed me up, T.
That'll
You
be
changed it to silver. You fucked me all up when I typed it out and put golden anniversary show.
right.
And then, yeah, you're right, 100%. It was the 25th is silver.
Well, I got called out on that.
Yeah, but not just that, but that sort of messed up my whole thing, man.
I know. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
But you know
no
what? Hey,
worries,
I got called out and I had to correct it. We're all about making sure we're putting out as accurate as we possibly can, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, for the most part,
For the most part.
You know what I mean? So,
But yeah, no, all we wanted to do was wrap up, say thanks to everybody again. These 25 episodes have gone by quick. You know, again, we're putting the props out to everybody listening. You guys are the reason why we're here. You know, thanks for supporting us. Thanks for supporting T, Dr. X, myself, and making sure that you guys are out there and giving us the motivation to keep doing these things every week.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I'd just like to say that, you know, King, it's been an honor and a pleasure just with this 25. I mean, we got tons more to come, but so far I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think we've kind of, it's been so much fun being able to do this with you.
Oh, right back at you, T. And I think that we realize this, you know, I think it's something that we both think we can get better at, and we want to do the best we can do and put the best content out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like how we challenge each other. I like how we try to make each other better. You know, it is what it is, and we're doing a good job with what we have.
Yeah, for two idiots, right?
Incoherent idiots.
Exactly.
So again, thanks for the 25 shows to all our listeners. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody out there, man. We want to say thanks to Omar the Taco Guy, to Manscaped, to Hopsy, to everybody out there, man. We want to take care of our shirt guy.
Oh, don't forget Ray over there at Palm Street Print Co.
Right, absolutely, guys. And remember, anybody want to call up, you want to be part of the show, get at us. Let us know what's going on. We love all of you. Again, this is the silver anniversary edition. Silver shower. Can I have a silver shower,
It's
T?
a silver shower.
Okay, a silver shower show. So I'm going to go take myself a silver shower. And actually,
Try to say that fast.
No, fuck no. We're cutting this show early because we're going to go get our drink on, bro.
We are. We're going to go celebrate.
Exactly, man.
Mazel tov.
Exactly, man. We're going to have a good time tonight. Dr. X is over here. We're going to have a little party in the studio. It's cooling down now on our side.
We got the beer on tap.
So we're ready to go, man. So we're going to go ahead and sign off a little bit early today, but we want to say thanks. We're going to throw one back for you. And again, thanks for everything. We was, T, take it.
So for R.W King, I'm Sweet Tea. We are
Out.
From California.
Checking in from the left coast where we take sound that combines sunshine with rhyme, move 'em around. Take it slow, watch the smoke we blow. Bring California swing and this thing for show. Well, hey there, baby, doll, dance the go-go off a little. Mentally, I see it in slow-mo. Hollywood, the east side, Hub City, and Frisco. Guys with the flyers, fires up in the disco. Whoa, whoa, oh, now here we go. Mira, delincuentes, bum rush the show. Aquí in Cali, with trees so sweet, and these habits feeling Ari on this rugby beat.